Welcome to another video of From the Shed End podcast with myself, T.Dot. As always, thank you very much for joining me. Now, before we get into the content, please make sure you go and subscribe to the channel and let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. And also give us a thumbs up. Of course, I did a video. In fact, let me go back. I did a video for the AC Milan game, the 3-0. Went to edit the video and realized that the sound was completely a mess and wasn't able to use the audio. So apologies for anyone that was waiting for a post-match from the AC Milan game. I will quickly cover it now because I think it was a really good video and it's unfortunate that I couldn't put it out. But I thought we played really well against AC Milan. It reminded me very much of the Juventus game where we beat Juventus 4-0 last season at Stamford Bridge. Very similar in terms of how we played. I was impressed with Wesley Fofana. I thought he had a really good game. Unfortunately, up until the injury, which we'll talk about shortly, but also as well, Patrick Aubameyang, I thought he's done really well. That link-up play with Raheem Sterling seems to be coming back. It seems to be there, and we need to see more of that going forward, especially against a team like Wolves, who will be chomping at the bits, literally, to try and get 3 points after their sacking of Bruno Lage early this week as well. So I did think we played really well. I was surprised at AC Milan. I thought, Leao was probably their only player that really gave us a bit of a threat at any point in that game. But it was a good performance, 3-0, can't really fault that at all. As I said, Wesley Fofana, easy goal, nice little tap in almost for him to score that as well. But I thought Aubameyang scoring again 2-2 now after the Crystal Palace goal as well. And then obviously Reece James, who for me, we have this debate all the time about who is the better right back between Trent and Reece James. For me personally, it's clear to see that Reece James is the more favoured right back if you want to talk about offensively or defensively. For me, he's one of the best. He's probably, if not the best in the world, at least the best in Europe as we're talking right now. So I'll be surprised if Reece James isn't getting the nod ahead of Trent, ahead of the World Cup, ahead of Kyle Walker. I think he's the all-round defender for me, and especially going forward, he contributes a lot in front of goal. He gets a lot of assists as well, which I think he got an assist for maybe Aubameyang's goal at the week in the midweek game as well against AC Milan. But I don't want to dwell too much on that. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the video out. I did think we played really well. I do want to touch on Wesley Fofana's injury, which at first glimpse you kind of thought, well, he's walked off the pitch. It might not be that bad, but according to Graham Potter, who had his press conference about 2 hours ago, he did confirm that he believes Wesley Fofana will be out for approximately 4 weeks. Now that is really concerning as Chelsea fans, but more so for Wesley Fofana, who's hoping to get into that World Cup squad for France as well ahead of the Qatar World Cup. So hopefully it's an injury that he can come back to a lot quicker in terms of his rehabilitation. But you do sense that his priority will be to go to that World Cup and potentially may not have to rush him. What does it mean for Chelsea? I mean, I thought Trevor Chalobah coming in for Wesley Fofana in the game midweek against AC Milan, I thought he done really well. A player that hasn't really been contributing to the team as much as he probably would like to, especially under Thomas Tuchel before he left, and even under Graham Potter, he hasn't really had that opportunity to do as much as I think he would want to as a defender. But he came into the game really well. I would expect him to be given the opportunity over the next couple of weeks now to potentially give himself that option to try and embed himself into that team, almost like he did, a couple of seasons ago where he came onto the scene, cemented himself into that first team. There was talk about him going on loan. Thomas Tuchel kept him at the club and he was able to perform at the highest level for us on a number of occasions. So I'm hoping Trevor Chalobah can do that again, because I think he's got the credentials to do that. I think he's one of the up and coming centre backs that we need to see in the team as well. Thiago Silva again is another player that we've got the covering defence for, and Koulibaly as well. We know that Cesar Azpilicueta can play there as well, but if I'm going to be honest, I'm very reluctant to see Azpilicueta play in a capacity at the moment. I don't think he's he's definitely experienced enough to do that, but in certain games, maybe Wolves is the answer. Maybe Wolves is a perfect game to rest maybe a Thiago Silva and bring in maybe Azpilicueta. But personally for me, I would go with Trevor Chalobah, who I thought played really well midweek and has a lot to prove to the new manager as well. So unfortunate for Wesley Fofana, but this does give a really good opportunity for Trevor Chalobah to go into that squad now and try and just make one of those positions, whether we play a back three or we play the two at the back, four at the back, I think this is his opportunity to try and do that as well. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But I want to talk about some latest developing news that also came out today, because we did hear that Christopher Vivell will become the next technical director at Chelsea. He will leave his role. He's been sacked to RB Leipzig due to conflicting discussions and ongoing issues with Leipzig as well. Now, this is very, very interesting, because one of the players that we've obviously been linked with over the last couple of days is Nkunku, who plays for Leipzig. Now, Vivell is one of those directors who unearthed, the likes of Erling Haaland and many other players as well. But now, I think he fits into what we're trying to do at Chelsea. He fits that mold. Todd Boehly's come out previously and said he likes the model of the Red Bull teams, Salzburg and Leipzig. He likes that mold, that model. And you can see this working if he's given the time, especially with Graham Potter alongside him as well. He's, like I said, he's unearthed some really good talents. The biggest one being Erling Haaland, but it does give you that question mark around Nkunku. Does he come to the club? I mean, he's already signed a pre-agreement with us already, so I'm looking forward to seeing if we can get him over the line. It looks like that will happen. I mean, he's already had a medical apparently as well, and obviously he'll have the backing of Christopher Vivell as well if he comes in, and when he comes in as the technical director at Chelsea. So it's a massive one. I mean, I think he's been at Leipzig for 2 years now, 3 years nearly. I think he was there from 2020. Todd Boehly was keen on him, for both directors from both Red Bull clubs. So it tells you that he does like the model that they've got there as well. And he has also mentioned he wants to try and franchise out of Chelsea, which unfortunately for some fans, they won't want to hear that, but he does want to try and build Chelsea as a franchise as well as a club. So I think in terms of what Todd Boehly wants out of this, it sounds like a very good appointment for him, but also for the fans as well. It will give that extra reassurance going forward for Graham Potter and his backroom staff as well, bringing in someone who's got that experience to bring in some quality players. And Nkunku seems to be top of the list. He looks like he's probably going to be the first one that comes through the doors at Cobham as well. So keep your eyes and ears peeled. We'll hopefully have some more information on that very, very soon. But let's talk about the game tomorrow. Wolves, Diego Costa, I think it's his birthday today. It's my birthday tomorrow. So hopefully me being the one that's a Chelsea fan, hopefully I'm the one that's celebrating after the kickoff at 3 o'clock tomorrow. But it's going to be a massive game. Obviously, Bruno Lage has been sacked at Wolves as well, so you would think that Wolves will be coming into this game managerless, but sometimes that does work in your favour when you haven't got the pressure of, the previous manager and the regime that was under him as well, sort of on the touchline. So sometimes it might give some of these Wolves players a bit of freedom. So we haven't actually won a game at Stamford Bridge against Wolves for 2 years now. I think it would have been the season Frank Lampard, I think, was there. Maybe Mason Mount scored a goal. Back end of the season, I think it was May, during those COVID seasons. But the last two, I think the game after that was a draw. I think it was 0-0, and the game after that was 2-2. I think Romelu Lukaku, if I'm not mistaken, got both those goals. I think, again, that was May, but obviously by then Lukaku was already back in Italy thinking about Inter Milan. So I think this is going to be, it's going to be a game that we should win. I mean, let's be honest. We've been playing very well under Graham Potter. You think back to the Salzburg game, Crystal Palace, where we dug deep and we got that result, and look back to AC Milan, what a performance that was. So you look at this performance now and you think we should be winning this game. Albeit, it's Wolves. We haven't got the best of records, like I just said, over the last couple of seasons against them, but I do think, looking at this team now, and just looking at, the players that we have, on paper, we should be beating them. I do think one mind, one eye, I don't know what you want to call it, but one thought should be midweek, thinking about that massive game in Italy, San Siro, against AC Milan. I mean, that's got to be, again, a must-win game for us if we're going to try and get out that group of the Champions League. So I do think Graham Potter will mix some of this team up. Maybe at the back he's going to be forced to do that. He did mention in the press conference earlier today that Marc Cucurella is fully fit. He's back in the team. He's been back training all week. He was on the bench against AC Milan, and he did kind of allude to the fact that he might be playing ahead of Ben Chilwell against Wolves tomorrow as well. So that's going to be an interesting change if we do see that. Then a big question mark as well over who starts in goal. Will it be Mendy? Will it be Kepa? My money would potentially be on Mendy. I think he's Obviously number one choice. It'd be a shame if that is the case, because I do think Kepa, has been brilliant. He kept a clean sheet against AC Milan, and I do think he deserves a chance, and he's proven himself to the manager that he is the number one goalkeeper for Chelsea. He should be in between the sticks, and I do think if he does get dropped, it is harsh, because I think he's played really well, given the chances that he's got. But I do feel that Mendy will come back into that team tomorrow. Now Mendy has to put in a brilliant performance, because I think Graham Potter is under no illusion, that he won't mind dropping Mendy for Kepa again midweek, and for however many other games he needs to do that. So I think Mendy just has to play well if he's going to start, and obviously Kepa will be waiting in the wings, waiting to take that position off him. But I want to quickly go through my team that I've gone for tomorrow. Now, I have gone back to my usual, what I think we would need to do. Now, obviously, the injury to Wesley Fofana would potentially force us to go back to a back four, unless we really wanted to try and fit Azpilicueta in there. Maybe you could play Ben Chilwell left wing back and Marc Cucurella at left centre back. That's another option, but I do think you lose a lot of that, the going forward to on the left side, especially. I think sometimes it does isolate Raheem Sterling if we do that, or whoever's playing on the left side of that attack. So me personally, I think we need to switch back to a back four. Yes, if it was a Man City or maybe a Liverpool, then I would potentially say a back five, but it's not every game you need to play, three centre backs with the two wing backs. I think you can get away with a four at the back. I think resting Thiago Silva for me is a must. I think, the game on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it is going to be a massive game. It's a massive, important game. We can't afford to lose it. And, resting Thiago Silva when we've got any opportunity to do so, I think we've got to do that. And I think if we can do that now against Wolves, I played Trevor Chalobah and Koulibaly as my two centre-backs, Reece James at right-back, and Marc Cucurella as a left-back. Now, obviously, he's predominantly better known as a left wing-back, but I think, if we can play him at left centre-back, it then just allow the two in midfield. I thought Ruben Loftus-Cheek was superb against AC Milan. I'd be very, very surprised if he's not starting in this game tomorrow. I'd be very, very surprised. I think Mateo Kovacic didn't have the best of performances against AC Milan, but I think, he offers a lot more going forward than Jorginho. Obviously, N'Golo Kante's still out injured, and Zakaria just seems to be a player that is here just to go and shop in Harrods, or, I don't know, go and have food at, I don't know, a nice restaurant in London. But Kovacic, I think, is the guy for me. I think I'd play him alongside Ruben Loftus-Cheek in midfield. Then I think I would switch to having three just sitting behind Patrick Aubameyang. I think if you've got Raheem Sterling, who, if you noticed on the game midweek, he was playing more on the right side at the start of the game to deal with Leao, with Reece James, and I think throughout the game he switched to the left. But I think if we've got Raheem Sterling playing on that left side with Mason Mount in the middle and Kai Havertz just to the right of him, with Patrick Aubameyang up front, I think it gives us no other option but to utilise that squad the best that way that we can. You look at Conor Gallagher, he can come off the bench as well and potentially play a part. Armando Broja as well, he can do the same. And obviously Jorginho is there if we do need that more defensive cover going into the later stage of that game tomorrow. But that would be my formation. That's what I would go with personally. I can't really see us not winning this game. I think at least best off the back of how we played against AC Milan, I'm looking at another big scoreline, 3-4-0. Wolves are there for the taking, let's be honest. They're being hung out to dry. But I have said already that we don't have, we haven't had the best of records in the last couple of seasons against them. So this is a game that we do need to try and build those points up and hope that we can get the 3 points and climb up that table, because the games are, like I said, going to be coming thick and fast. We've got the World Cup to think about coming up soon. So we need to make sure that we can build as many points up the table and go as high as up the table as possible as well. But let me know what you would do in the comments. What would your lineup be? Who would you go with? What would you change in my lineup as well? I think we have to be cautious. We have to be mindful that we have players in the squad that we potentially will we need to rest and wrap in cotton wool. Thiago Silva's one of them. I think Mateo Kovacic isn't fully fit as well. Obviously, N'Golo Kante, when he comes back to the team, he needs to be wrapped in cotton wool. So I think we do need to rotate where possible. I was surprised not to see Conor Gallagher start against AC Milan based on how he did, the second half against Crystal Palace. But this might be a game where he comes into the team. Maybe you rest Mason Mount and you put Conor Gallagher in that middle alongside Sterling and Havertz. But, Graham Potter seems to be getting things right now. Things are slowly clicking together. You're seeing that cohesion with the link-up play between Sterling and Aubameyang. So I'm hoping we can continue to build on that as well and take the positivities that we seem to be seeing from Salzburg to Palace to AC Milan, and hopefully tomorrow we can take all of that into the game midweek against AC Milan, and hopefully we might be able to top the group. Who knows? But let me know your thoughts. As I said before, do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Give us some thumbs ups, give us some likes as well, and also if you haven't done so already, make sure you go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and listen to the podcast. We've got about 2 seasons worth on there already, so we're going to be doing a lot more over the next couple of weeks or so. This has been T.Dot from the Shed End. Until next time, stay safe and thank you very much for watching.